and welcome back to another video on the channel. I'm back today with the FIA track guides for round 1 of season 2 of the official championship. I've managed to get both guides done, mainly because I've done the Mercedes one today and I already had a lap saved for it if I ever needed it with the Porsche at Nurburgring. So I've done the Nations track guide also. So the first one I'm going to do is the SLS around Brands Hatch, which is not a combination that you will want to drive, trust me. This Mercedes is just so heavy at this track. It's probably going to be one of the weakest, if not the weakest cars here. However, I have managed to push it as far and as hard as I can to get it into a 1 minute 28.9. Now, this is drastically slower than what is possible with the Megane. Megane I can get, I think, a 27.6.5 or 6 or something like that. It's one, you know, the Megane around this track is just so fast, the trophy version, and also the Alfa Romeo I think I can get a 28.0 or a 27.9 or something like that. So it does show you the difference, you know, these cars. This is probably one of the most drastic differences for a short track in terms of BOP I've seen on the game. It really is highlighting the BOP issues this track, but I've done my best to get a guide done with a reasonable lap and pushed it as hard as I can. We're going to go through that now with the Mercedes. Remember, you probably will be able to carry a lot more speed with certain other cars, but I've had to really just push this Mercedes to get this lap done. So going into turn 1, just past the second board, you're going to start braking there. I like to brake, I have to brake a little bit earlier than what I would do normally with this car because it's so heavy, and try and hold it as close as you can to the apex of that curb, and then when you feel the grips there, put the full power, and you can really see how heavy this car is, how it's sliding on the front end. Now going into the braking zone for this next corner, have to brake really early with this car. Look how much before the bridge I have to brake. With some other cars you will be able to brake a little bit closer to that bridge, and then hold it as tight as you can to the apex of this corner. Really hold it nice, and I like to hold it really close to that apex and then get on the power really early. Some people like to come at it from a wider angle. I prefer holding the apex very tight and then on the power very early, getting into this corner now, braking just before the curb starts on the right hand side there, you see, and try and swing it in from the right hand side and take some of this curb off on the left hand side. You can see the understeer generating with this car, and you have to pretty much, with this car, you've got to go out wide there to gain as much speed as you can. So you can do it with other cars as well, use as much of this track as possible. You will find with the Megane and stuff you won't need to do that. You can just grip out of that corner so much faster. Then going into the next braking zone, braking just past that number 1 board on the right hand side, and you're going to aim to straight line brake and then chuck it in quite late. You want to widen the entry point, and then you can get on the power much earlier. And then you see I had to give it a little lift off to try and generate a bit of oversteer on this car to try and build the power in and get some turning with this car. It's really tricky, it just doesn't want to turn on power. So managed to do it okay. You see how I pulled away from the ghost because I did that little lift and then power on. Then into the next braking zone, braking just past that number 2 board, and this is again a corner where you do lose a lot of speed with the SLS as it just can't carry the speed through the corner. You see down to 100 miles an hour nearly, and then on the power as early as you can, and just be careful not to run wide on that corner. It's really tricky. Down into, then braking just after that number 2 board, again braking very early with this car, and down into 4th gear. Don't go down to 3rd gear, I like to stay in 4th gear and just hover it around 88 to 90 miles per hour and try and get your right hand tyre over that green bit of AstroTurf on the right hand side, and then on the power as early as you can. You can use some of this left hand curb and Astro on the left hand side. You will get away with using a bit of that. You can see there I've gone on there, no real issue. It does grip, most cars will do that in the Group 4 cars. And then you're coming into the next braking zone, which is just before that white number 1 board there, and again that's a little bit early in what you will do with some other cars. And try and attack this corner. You can really attack and cut some of that corner off, and then on the power as early as you can, and then looking for your next braking zone, which is that number 1 board. You're braking just before it, again a little bit early in what you will do with some of the other cars like the 86 Toyota and Megane and stuff, and try and get this as close to this apex as possible and on the power as early as you can. You can see there the understeer starting to build in. Managed to hold it on the track though, and then squeeze. You really just get on power as early as you can, and then looking at the number 1 board on the left hand side, braking just short of that, down into 3rd gear briefly before you're going to go back into 4th gear. So down into 3rd gear and then on the power and then into 4th gear early, just to stop any understeer building up. It's sort of like some other cars you're probably going to be able to do that in 4th gear, like the Megane Trophy, just stay in it and really attack it much more, and then working our way down the straight, staying over to the right hand side for the shortest possible line and just squeezing into the 1 minute 28s. So I feel like that's a reasonably good lap with this SLS. It felt good, to be honest. I think there's about 2 2-3 attempts I could probably take off it on a perfect lap, but there's no way that's getting anywhere near the low 28s in my personal view. So next track guide for the Nations Cup, we have the Porsche 911 at the Nurburgring. Now this car is obviously a lot more suited to this track, and it is a really enjoyable car to drive. So you can see there, I was just checking the ghost where it was. First braking zone in between the 150 and the 100 board there. Braking starts there, and you really got a trail brake all the way into this corner. You'll see me lifting off that brake pedal very gently. You can see it slowly releasing, and try and get your car to skim the apex of this curb on the right hand side. Down into first gear, I would recommend first gear rather than staying in second gear. This Porsche has very long gears, so you go down to first gear and then on the power as early as you can, and try and get it over to the right hand side as quickly as possible, because as soon as you've got it over right, you're going to have to swing it in left with the new penalty system for the track limits. You'll see now you cannot run wide really anymore. So down into second gear and trying to hold it as close to that curb as possible, and you'll see running just fractionally onto the curb there, and the left hand tyre, try and avoid your left hand tyre going over that white line, because if it goes over, you're going to end up probably getting a penalty and the lap invalidated. And then braking starts very early, and trail brake very gently all the way into this corner. You see how the brake pedal slowly released all the way into the corner, and this helps bite the front end into the corner, and try and cut that little bit off there without cutting too much off. And then again, cut a little bit off this right hander, but again not too much, because you can get a penalty if you cut too much. You've got to keep it within the white lines on the left hand tyre, and on the exit you can afford to run a little bit wide, but not as much as you used to be able to. That's pretty much how you get away with it in real life, so I don't mind that, and that's pretty much how it should be. Next braking zone, just as that bit of tarmac on the right hand side ends, you're going to start your braking. So you see pretty much dead on that tarmac ending, down into third gear, and you really want to hold it as tight a line to that left apex as possible, because you really want to be on the left hand side here. I was a little bit too far over to the right, but what I did well was braked fairly early and managed to hold a tight line into this next corner. It's really important to hold a really tight line in on this corner now, as this will enable you then to really get on that power that little bit earlier, just a fraction earlier. Use some of the green after on the left, and you can see visually from the ghost how much of a little boost it gives you in terms of speed. Next braking zone, braking just after, pretty much as that bit of grey tarmac on the left hand side starts to appear. Braking pretty much just on that, braking really hard down into second gear, and then try again. I like to hold a very tight apex to this corner here. I don't want to run it out too far wide, because I feel like you can carry more speed on that apex with the camber of the corner, and then get on the power again very early, and then working our way up the hill into the really fast flat out chicane. Pretty much no lifting here, you're just going to turn in very early, try and get that left hand tyre to either go over the curb slightly or just skim the apex of the curb. So just skimming it nicely there, try and reduce as much steering inputs as possible through this corner so you don't scrub too much speed off, and then working your way into the next braking zone, which we're going to be looking to brake just before that 100 board on the right hand side there. You can see the braking starting now, down into third gear, and you want to get your left hand tyre where that arrow is over the green bit of Astro. You can see there that green bit of Astro, you really want to try and get over that, and I actually ran a little bit deep into this corner at this point, you're going to see, because I didn't really hook it up perfectly and took too much speed into the corner, and then this compromised my exit and entry into the next corner. So you can see I would rather be where that left arrow is as I start my braking, so I can really attack and get on the power earlier, but because I've come from this very tight angle, I'm not able to get on the power as early as I would like, and then the oversteer kicks in because I'm putting too much steering input in, and then I run a little bit wide there, which is a bit frustrating because I lost about 2 attempts through there. You're going to see the ghost start pulling away now from where I've lost quite a bit of time, so there's a lot more potential with this lap. And then working our way into the next braking zone, braking just before the 100 board on the right hand side, and I really went for it on this time because I knew I'd made that error. I just chucked it into the chicane and hoped for the best. So you're going to see now really attack the first part of the chicane. You can get away with really attacking these curbs and on the chicane still, so over that aggressive, and then over the second part really aggressive, and then on the power as early as you can. And you're going to see that really caught me up with the ghost. You can see back level with them, and then into third gear, and then back down to second gear and braking very early. Just before, you can see that bit of tarmac where the tyres have gone on the curb, braking a fair bit short of that. And again, I like to hold a very tight line through this corner and keep it as tight to that wall as the railing on the right hand side as possible, so you can get the power very early, and you shorten the distance on the track obviously as well, and then going over the line for a 1 minute 54.9. but like I say, there was potential to get that to a 54.7 I think, or something like that, without that error that I had going through onto the back straight. So what I'll do now is I'll let you guys watch both laps from behind the car, just for anyone that uses that view, just to give you a bit more input on the lap. I hope you enjoyed these videos. I hope they help you out for tomorrow's FIA races. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing the Nations race yet. It's a possibility. I do like the combination, but it all depends on time, because I obviously doing these videos I don't get much time to practice. So if I get the time to get on and practice for both of them, I will do them both. But like I say, I'll try my best, but it's more than likely that I'll probably just do the manufacturer's race. So just let me know in the comments if they've helped you out, these guides, if they help you out after the race. Let me know if they, if you felt like you got your qualifying better, or if anything helped out. I do like to read it and see. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. I do upload every single day, obviously, and click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching, everyone.